Are you aware that while some others are getting their ILR application approved by the Home Office, some others, on the other hand, are getting their applications denied? So imagine now that you have lived in the UK for so many years and it's finally time for you to settle. You apply for your indefinite leave to remain and it gets denied. Now, this is the case of a Nigerian young man whose ILR application was denied. We'll go into the details of the reasons and more in today's video. So please stay with me while we go straight into it. My name is Tochi and welcome to my channel. Please like this video, give it a thumbs up as you're watching so YouTube can recommend it to more people. Kindly share it to everyone that benefit from it because we all have a lesson to learn. And so all my returning subscribers, you guys are amazing. You're welcome back to this video. If you're yet to subscribe, please click on the subscribe button right now. Thank you. Now, this is the story of a Nigerian man who spent over a decade in the UK legally. And finally, when it was time for him to apply for his indefinite leave to remain, the Home Office said no. And then he further went on appeal and the answer still remained the same. No. Now, what did he do exactly that his application was denied? Okay, this is a lesson that a lot of people should learn from. If you're a legal migrant in the UK, whether you're on a study visa, work visa, you have children, you have dependents, everybody has a lesson to learn from this video. Onyia moved to the UK in 2012 when he was just 12 years old. He even studied in the UK, went to the university. By 2023, he had graduated, completed his university education, and then went on to a graduate visa. So he was in the UK legally throughout his stay, okay? And finally, when it was time for him to apply for his indefinite leave to remain through the 10 years continuous residency period, his application was denied. Now, do you know why his application was denied? It was due to excessive absences, right? The number of times he spent outside the UK. If you guys remember, for those that watched one of my previous videos, it's almost the same thing. The case of the university lecturer who was going to India for her research program and everything, and also when it was time for her to apply for her ILR as well, it was denied for the same reason, due to the number of times she spent outside the UK. So yeah, this is the case, even though I'll try to summarize it because it's very long. The appellant is a dual national of Nigeria and the USA who entered the UK in 2012 at the age of 10, right? And thereafter entered full-time education in this country. He subsequently went to the university and he currently holds a graduate visa. So safe to establish that he has been in the UK on a legal visa. He was never illegal at any point. Now, guys, when he first came into the UK, he was just 10 years old and he came in 2012, September 4th. And he kept extending his visa legally and everything. During all of the times that he was in the UK, he was in full-time education. He studied at rugby school and subsequently went to Reading University and all of that. And now he's also on a graduate visa, which is going to be valid until 2026. In June of 2023, he submitted an application for indefinite leave to remain on the basis of long residence. He said that he had achieved 10 years continuous lawful residence and was therefore entitled to ILR. That application was refused by the Home Office, right? The sole basis on which the applicant was found not to meet the provisions of the immigration rules for ILR based on long residency was the fact of his excess absences from the UK. The rules provide that an application for ILR must be refused if relevant absences exceed 548 days within the 10-year period. The appellant's absences were 777 days. That's way over the allowed period, and a rule is a rule, like we all know, even though he said that COVID was part of the reason why he was away from the UK. He was cut down during the lockdown and everything, but they still told him a rule is a rule and that COVID is not enough reason to be outside the UK for that long. It's not part of the reasons that they consider as a lawful reason or a reason that makes sense, you know. That was how his application was denied after 12 years in the UK. Now, I've also seen, you know, people in different platforms online where you see people ask, you know, if I bring in my child and decide to take them outside the UK for 2 years, for 3 years, or I decide to take them to my parents back home in Africa, you know, what's going to be their fate? I've seen people ask questions like that. So it's also good for you to know the law, know what applies to you. If you need to seek legal guidance, you know, speak to an expert. It's always very important. Read it thoroughly. It's there, it's written bold. If you go on the government website, you know, try to check for applications for ILR requirements. You will see all of it there. Read it thoroughly, understand it, and if you don't and you still need somebody to explain it to you, speak to an expert. Okay, if you're outside the UK for more than the permitted period, you stand a chance of your ILR application being rejected, or it might just come back to haunt you in one way or the other that you never expected or when you least expected. There is a reason why they are laid down requirements, why they are laid down rules for certain things. There's a reason why when you go on the Home Office website, you will see requirements for ILR. It's because you have to meet every single one of them. You have to tick every requirement before it's granted. You can't say, oh, I met 4 of them, for example, and only missed 5. No, it is because of that 5th one that you missed that it will be rejected. Even if there are 10 requirements and you meet 9.5 and fail to meet that half, you will still be denied because rules are rules. You understand? So yeah, in this case, he was outside the UK for 777 days. And you see that that's way above the permitted period. So he also went ahead to appeal the decision, and the appeal was dismissed on the following grounds. Firstly, that the applicant did not meet the requirement of this paragraph of the rules. He had been absent from the UK for 777 days in the 10-year period, and that in relation to the 2018 absences, he had not established that he had returned to the UK, and they're just trying to explain that, see, you have no reason to have been absent from the UK or any good reason to have been absent from the UK for that long, and he still lost. Okay, he even tried to show evidence of his bookings, his return from Lagos to London. He tried his best to prove his case, you know, but then they still upheld the decision of the Home Office that yes, you spent way more time outside the UK than that is permitted, you know. So this actually goes a long way to show how strict UK immigration rules can be, right? No matter how long you've been here, no matter how you try to prove that, oh, this is the life that you know and everything, rules are rules. And with everything going on with the UK immigration right now, I think they're even getting stricter, right? Because tell me why we just keep reading cases like this. Sometimes you've not even heard about something like this for a long time, and all of a sudden it's now becoming rampant. I've even heard the story of the family that the Home Office asked their children to leave the UK because they were undocumented at some point, and you know, after they got divorced and everything, you know. So we're beginning to hear so much cases, and these are for the ones that were documented. A lot of people have actually experienced the same thing, just that theirs didn't make the news or it wasn't published or something like that. They just quietly packed their bags and left the UK, but it's actually happening. It's a thing. So everybody just has to be careful. If you want to apply for ILR anytime soon, or you know that you're going to be applying for ILR sometime in future, just go on the government website. All these things are there. They've been published. These informations are there for us to see. They are public. You can access them at any time. And if you are somebody that has to always travel out of the UK, this is something you need to familiarize yourself with. You know, record all the times you go out of the UK. When you go out, when you come back in, get a diary or get a calendar, whatever that is going to be easy for you to record it. Record it, you know, just make sure that you document it so that you don't spend more time outside the UK than you're meant to. Nobody is saying you shouldn't travel, no, but there is a limit to the number of days and times you should spend outside the UK if you're on a valid visa and hope to apply for your ILR soon. And for parents who want to take their kids abroad for a long time, unknowingly, you might be ruining the chances of your child getting ILR or settling. So you have to consider these things, okay? There's a reason why these rules are made. If you're going to be applying to be settled in the UK, it somehow shows that you want to make UK your home permanently or something like that. But if you're now spending more time outside the UK than you are in the UK, what evidence, how do you now prove that you actually want to make the UK your permanent home when you're spending more time outside than you are spending in the UK that you claim you want to make your home? Just like visiting a country as well. If you have a visa that allows multiple entry, there's a limit to how long you can stay at once. Right? When we went to America, for example, we have a visit visa to the US, and they stated it clearly. When you are even there, the immigration will be asking you, how long are you staying? When are you leaving? These are the questions they ask, because there are rules. There's a condition for giving you this visa. There are rules that you must follow. There are regulations. You have to keep to that, else you're going to get into trouble. So it's normal for each visa category. Remember, these people keep saying that, oh, I've been on this visa legally. I've always kept to the terms and conditions of my visa. I've not broken any rule. I've worked hard, paid my tithe, contributed to the economy, done all of that. Yes, they will admit and say you're not lying. Okay, you're saying the truth. You've been contributing financially, contributing to the economy. You've been doing all that. But this is a rule. This is what the regulation states. These are what the requirements are. And for now, you haven't met the requirements. So why should we give it to you? Just breaking one or even half of the rule is going to jeopardize all the good times or all the times that you have been a good person. So yeah, time alone in the UK doesn't guarantee anything. You must have to meet all the rules that's just like we have established. And it just also tells us that, see, these guys are really strict. They're becoming very strict and they rarely bend. And you would have spent money, you would have appealed, the stress, the torture, the torment, everything that you would have gone through. It's just best to play safe. And with how the UK immigration is going and how the government is just going about migrants this, immigrant that, everybody just has to be careful. Because one miscalculation, one mistake can cost you everything that you have suffered to build over the years. Right? So it's not enough that you have spent 5 years in the UK and you're not eligible for ILR. It's not enough that you have spent 10 years in the UK, and you're not eligible for the continuous residency route. It's not just enough. Staying in the UK alone, being here for the period of time required of you alone, it's not enough. You still have to meet all the laid down rules, requirements. You still have to meet each and every one of them. And if you're found wanting in one, your application might be denied. And guess what? Not only might your application be denied, the Home Office might still ask you to leave the UK. Now, tell me how that would feel, where not only was your ILR application denied, just like in the case that we saw the last time, the Home Office asked her to pack her bags and leave the UK. Right? That's so sad, and that can be so disheartening and heartbreaking. And you don't wish that for yourself or for even your enemy, right? So that's why everybody should play safe. So yeah, when I saw the story, I just thought to share because it was similar to the last one that we saw, and to let you know that these things are happening, so it's for us to learn something from it. So yeah, that is it for today's video. Let me hear what you think about this. Have you heard of something like this before? Do you know anybody that something like this or something similar has happened to before? Let us know in the comment section. We all learn every day. Yeah, thank you so much guys for watching. I'll see you all in my next one. Bye bye.